it's a very, very residential area. There's loads and loads of schools. And again, are these going to be men or are they families? Who are they? Where have they come from? Have they got any screening? Are they unvetted? All the usual questions that everybody asks themselves. And, you know, when we don't know and we're not told, there's a level of conspiracy theory that goes around the area where people talk about this, and then before you know it, there's all this, everybody's up in arms about what is going on. Tonight, there's an emergency meeting, apparently, of Epping Forest Council in Epping Civic Centre, where apparently there's going to be a discussion about the future of the Bell Hotel and what is happening with these HMOs that are starting to pop up.
Yeah.
Now, this isn't unusual. This is happening across the country. So, you know, whilst the government have said we're going to close down all the migrant hotels, they're literally going to take the men from those hotels and put them into HMOs in communities.
Yeah.
How in any way does that solve the problem or make people feel safer? And does that stop the risk that we're seeing to our women and children?
What is the... I'm fascinated by this because I think it's clearly indefensible what the government are doing. They're having the same issues in Crowborough as Epping are having, genuine concerns about, suddenly 200, 300, in Crowborough's case, I think 600 unidentified young men. Most average age about 23, don't know who they are, where they came from, what their backstory is. Even if they're all decent, thoroughly lovely people, nobody knows that. We're being asked to play a game of roulette with this. So just bring in people we don't know anything about and spin the wheel and hope that there's not a wrong un in there.
Yeah.
And that's the kind of... And I know there are people on the left who get very uncomfortable, get a bit prickly and start to discombobulate and their arms fall off and stuff when they're forced to have this conversation because you can't say that. Well, you can have the conversation, and in fact it makes you massively irresponsible as a citizen, as a parent, and as a politician to not have those concerns, surely.
Yeah, but and I mean, Ian, even if we've talked about this many times about the issues around women and children's safety, around the risk element, the fact that no risk assessments have been done, but in Epping Forest itself, which is not a huge population compared to some London boroughs, there are over 1,500 homeless families in Epping Forest itself waiting for council accommodation.
Yeah.
So what trumps their rights for these people that are coming in and being put in mostly brand new or certainly refurbished properties? There's also thousands of children that are in temporary accommodation. So again, we look at the fact of it's just the unfairness of the pecking order.
Of course.
You know, in Buckhurst Hill, an average two-bedroom flat would be approximately £2,500 a month. Now, we know they pay above the odds to whoever these people are and have long contracts with their landlords. So if you've got 8 flats, you're looking at over 25 grand a month for that one group of migrants that are coming in. You know, so... And then tomorrow the budget's coming out and everyone's going to be hammered even more.
Yeah.
So, and then they wonder why the whole of the country is up in arms.
I've always said that one of the most compelling arguments about this is the economic one, which you've just brilliantly laid out. And of course, if you've got, homeless families who are, sofa hopping or, kids that are living in bedsits because they can't get accommodation, and you bring in people from another country, even if you have, you can wear a couple of hats on this, even if you say, like, real sympathy for anyone who's, escaped a horrible regime from the Taliban or, in those extreme cases. I don't think that's a typical case, but you take what I'm saying. Even if that was the case, surely your first port of call is with locals, individuals and the community.
One would hope so. But, that's another thing that really has put so much negativity in the community in Epping, where the judge said at the last hearing that the rights of the asylum seekers or the illegal migrants outweighed the rights of local residents. Yeah. And then you expect people to carry on paying their council tax, to withstand the constant tax rises, to see the complete disarray around social services, so GP appointments and hospitals, etc., and we keep on paying, and then the people get more and more and more disgusted by the whole thing. So even if these men or these families come in and they're decent, lovely human beings, there's still always going to be an element of anger because they're being put before the residents of the local community. So, the government are making this a political disaster on so many levels. And it's just, I just don't know how it's all going to end. It's, it's really concerning.
Well, they don't know. That's the problem, isn't it? I mean, they really don't know. And they're scared, especially the Labour Party are scared to I know that the current Home Secretary is sort of making slightly more positive noises than maybe predecessors, but it doesn't, frankly, touch the sides, Orla.
It doesn't touch the sides. It doesn't. And, when you have elderly people saying to you, I can't put my heating on, I can't get to see my GP. Yesterday, I actually rang my local GP and there were 28 people ahead of me, and that stayed the same until 5 o'clock yesterday afternoon.
Yeah.
So we're seeing such strain on local services, and there doesn't seem to be any end game. So tomorrow, Rachel Reeves is going to put taxes up to fill a black hole.
Yep.
But that black hole is paying for more services and more benefits for people that aren't contributing. So the normal working person, the normal working family are just pulling their hair out.
Correct.
The man a minute ago said that he was thinking of migrating.
Yeah.
That's what everyone's looking at doing.
Yeah. I think we're all off tomorrow afternoon, actually.
Yeah, I've packed.
We're going to start with Benidorm because we'll have a bit of fun down there, Orla, and then after that, who knows where we'll end.
We'll go.
Absolutely. Listen, great to have you on as ever. Thank you, Orla Minahane, Reform candidate for Epping, and Thaden, thank you to her.